Ram asked, "Pray describe the state of Turiya, which runs through the waking, dream and deep sleep states without being recognized." We're coming to the end of section 6.1. The end of section 6.1 is like the end of the Yoga Vasishta. For some reason the Yoga Vasishta has two endings, and section 6.2 consists of further chapters which again come to the end of the Yoga Vasishta. So why this is, I don't know. But as we get to the end of section 6.1, which we can understand as coming to the end of the Yoga Vasishta, it seems to me we're getting some very clear teachings. It's almost like these are summaries of the most fundamental and most important points. And a lot of things are being cleared up. For example, in the last video we had the notion of the subtle body explained. And we've also previously had explained what's meant by waking, dream and deep sleep states. These aren't to be understood literally, although they can be. And now we've got this Turiya, which seems mysterious and elusive. Turiya means fourth. We've got the waking, dream and deep sleep state, which we spend most of our lives in. But there's also this Turiya, which is beyond these, so this is the fourth state. But it's also spoken of here as running through these states without being recognized. Vasishta continued, "That pure and equanimous state which is devoid of ego sense and non-ego sense, of the real and the unreal, and which is free, is known as Turiya, the fourth state. It is the state of the liberated sage. It is the unbroken witness consciousness. It is different from the waking and the dreaming states, which are characterized by movement of thought. It is different from the deep sleep state, which is characterized by inertia and ignorance. When the ego sense is abandoned, there arises a state of perfect equilibrium in which the Turiya manifests itself." So it seems that that dream, waking and deep sleep are being understood literally here, or at least the concerns of those who understand these terms literally is being addressed here. And the Turiya doesn't actually manifest itself. We need to be careful how this is understood here. It says there arises the state of perfect equilibrium in which the Turiya manifests itself. Well, the Turiya manifests itself and then there's the equilibrium. There's no preparation for the Turiya because the Turiya is there all the time. It's here all the time. It just needs to be accessed. It can be accessed accidentally, and after that spiritual practice allows establishment in Turiya to progress. I shall narrate a parable, hearing which you will become enlightened, even if you are already enlightened. In a certain forest there was a great sage. Seeing this extraordinary sage, a hunter approached him and asked him, "O sage, a deer which had been wounded by my arrow came this way. Tell me which way it went." The sage replied, "We are holy men who dwell in the forest, and our nature is peace. We are devoid of ego sense. The ego sense and the mind, which make the activities of the senses possible, have come to a rest. I do not know what are known as waking, dream and deep sleep. I remain established in the Turiya. In it there is no object to be seen." The hunter could not grasp the meaning of the sage's words. He went his way. I'm not sure how helpful this story is. They may not have been caught up with identifying objects visually, but they were certainly able to understand the hunter's words. So I think this story could lead to more misunderstanding than understanding. But the point here is that they are established in Turiya, rather than in waking, dream and deep sleep states. Hence I tell you, O Ram, there is naught but the Turiya. The Turiya is unmodified consciousness, and that alone exists. In other words, it's just consciousness. Turiya is consciousness. Waking, dream and sleep are states of the mind. When they cease, the mind dies. Sattva alone remains, which the yogis aspire to reach. So Sattva is pure being. Sattva is realization of Turiya. This can be understood in different ways. It seems like these yogis are sitting there in this Turiya all the time, and they don't sleep, they don't dream, and they can't be called awake. And this is one understanding, but I don't think it's a realistic one. Otherwise it means that they're essentially immobile. They've entered into something which isn't of much use really. So they should have been able to engage with the hunter about his wounded deer, because they were able to converse with him. Waking, dream and sleep states were understood in terms of the 7 stages of yoga, which were outlined in chapter 120 and previously. And we'll get a fuller description of these in the next chapter. But self-inquiry is really about not identifying with these states of waking, deep sleep and dream. They will still happen, but whenever they're not there, the sage will immediately turn his attention to Turiya. Turiya is always available. It's possible it might be available continuously through these states. That's certainly a possibility. But the point is, Turiya is always there to be accessed, and not even a sage is going to be accessing it continuously, because the extent to which the sage was actually talking to the hunter is the extent to which the sage was not actually in Turiya. The sage was therefore in the waking state, talking to the hunter. And when the hunter goes, the sage's attention will then return to consciousness, to Turiya, to itself. So the attention is not remaining fixed in itself. It cannot do that unless you are some particular yogi who's on his way out. As long as you're engaging in the world, the attention needs to be utilized. It needs to be directed. Sometimes it will be directed for you, in which case you bring it back at the first opportunity. And this is what happens in sleep. The attention is taken away. And as soon as that situation is appreciated, the attention can be brought back to Turiya. But the idea that the attention is fixed in itself, that Turiya is realizable 100% of the time, is not realistic. It's always there to be realized, because we can always return to it. But it isn't possible to be in that kind of realization and to be functioning in the world at the same time.